is when we're trying to show that you should do something. So if I said you should do something, it's very similar to saying you must, you should, you have to. Okay, so just like our last lesson where we learned have to, should is very much similar. It's saying that it's very important, you must, you should do something. So for example, I should study this week because I have a test. I should go to the markets to buy some ingredients. I should cook dinner tonight because it's my anniversary, or because I want to make a special meal for my family. So when we say should, that's the positive way of saying what we must do. Now, in the negative, you say shouldn't. So that means I shouldn't stay up late because I need to wake up early tomorrow. I shouldn't um, I shouldn't waste my time on social media. Okay, I shouldn't do that. That means it is not good. It is not important, and it won't do anything good. You shouldn't do it. If you hear people say you shouldn't smoke because it's bad for your health. Okay, so that's how we use should and shouldn't. And again, we use should and shouldn't before the main verb. And whatever it could be, I should spend more time, I should study harder, I should meet lots of people, I should travel more, I should save money. Okay, whatever you say that you should do, that means it's important, and the negative shouldn't. So let's have a look at some of the rules for using should and shouldn't with some examples. Okay, so we are here. So should again means that it is very important. Okay, and especially we use should when we want to give advice. So when we tell our friends or our parents or someone that we love, when we tell them should, it means that I'm telling them what is good. So how do we make a sentence? We have a subject. Remember, a subject is I, you, he, she, it, we, they, or it could be the person. You can just say Maria. It could be my mum, my husband. And then you say should, and it's the same for all the subjects. And then you have the main verb, like I should study more. I should exercise more. I should meet new people to practice my English. I should go to the markets and buy ingredients for my meal tonight. Okay, to make the negative, as I said, you say should not, or you can connect that and it's shouldn't. And it's the same for all the subjects. I shouldn't, he shouldn't, she shouldn't, we shouldn't, they shouldn't, you shouldn't. And you have the main verb. And again, there's no ing, there's no ed. It's just the verb as it is. Study, speak, exercise, listen, read, write, whatever the main verb is. Now, to make a question, so it means that I want to ask someone if something is important. I say should, so I start with the verb, and then I have the subject. So maybe I'm saying, should I study tonight? Should I watch a movie tonight? Should I download this? Should I ring Maria? Okay, so I'm asking if someone else, if it's important that I do an action. And to respond, you would say, yes, you should. So if someone said, should I study more? Yes, you should. I would reply to them, yes, you should. Or no, I would say, no, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't do that. That means it's not very important. You shouldn't do that. So again, we're talking about should. It's one of our modal verbs. It means that should is one of those words that come before the main verb, before the main action. And here are some examples. You should be careful from sharks. Okay, so maybe my friend is going to the beach and I'm going to tell them, you should be careful. Don't swim in the ocean. Be careful. Be careful. You should be careful from the sharks. You should try kangaroo meat. So that's giving advice. I'm telling someone that I think this is good. You should try this. Okay, we use the verb try when we speak about food. So you should try this. It's really good. It's really healthy. It's really tasty. It's really delicious. You should try it. In Brazil, you should go to the beach because we have many beautiful beaches. Okay, advice. You should go to a place. You should go to church on Sundays. You should go to the beach in summer. You should go to the markets to save money. In summer, to avoid skin cancer, you should take an umbrella when going to the beach. Okay, or you should wear, you remember we looked at this word, sunscreen. Okay, so that's a cream that you put on your body and it will protect you from the sun. So you should wear, we say wear sunscreen. Or you could say you should put on sunscreen. But this is very common. You should wear sunscreen because it's hot and you need to protect your skin. You should visit Sydney to see the Opera House. Okay, so maybe I want to tell someone that they should go somewhere to see something or to do something. So I would say you should visit the Sydney Opera House. You should buy a metro card so that you could travel by bus, train, or tram. Okay, so I'm giving someone advice. How can they travel in the city? I tell them, well, you should buy a metro card. It's really important. You should buy a metro card. It's the same as saying you have to. It's really important. You should buy a metro card. In Colombia, you shouldn't use your phone on the bus as someone can steal it from you. So that's another advice, to be careful. Okay, you shouldn't, it's the negative, you shouldn't use your phone on the bus because someone can steal it. So if you have a look at page 133, it says the grammar box should and shouldn't. So what form is the verb should? So should is in, we call this and shouldn't. Because if I said you should rent a car, you shouldn't go somewhere in winter. Should I go with a tourist guide? So should and shouldn't is in the infinitive form. And it's a present. It's talking about now. You should do this. Or in the near future. You know, next year you should start a new course. So it's speaking about now, in this moment, the present, or in the near future. How do you make a question with should? Well, you start with should, then you add the subject, and then the verb. That's how you make a question. Do you use do or does in negative? No. You use not. To make a negative, you use the word not. And you can make it together, shouldn't. You shouldn't do this. He shouldn't speak to you in a bad way. They shouldn't close early. Something like that. So we're going to give advice. If we have a look at number 9, if someone says, I'm very tired, okay, so someone is tired, they're exhausted, you could say to them, well, you should take a holiday. You should sleep early, or you should relax. So that's good advice. I'm telling them this is what you should do because it's very good for you. You should take a holiday. You should take a break. So I could even say a break. You should sleep early. You should relax. If someone said the sun is shining and the temperature is 40 degrees, that's very hot. You should say, well, you should wear sunscreen. Or you could say, you should stay in a cool place. So I'm telling someone what is very important. You should stay in a cool place. If someone says, I can't speak the local language, then you should say, you should learn some new words and phrases. Or you could say expressions. Okay, so you should learn the language. Public transport is slow to the city. Well, we can make it a negative. Well, you shouldn't take the bus because public transport means the bus, the trams. So I'm going to say you shouldn't take the bus. And then I'm going to tell them what is good. So you should take your car or a taxi, or you should take an Uber. If someone said this shop is very expensive, then you can say you should go to the local markets, okay? Because there's lots of good prices at the markets, very cheap, good prices. You should buy things online, okay? Maybe you should buy, if you need to buy books or electronics, you should buy them online. You can save money. Italy has very old and beautiful buildings. So you should go sightseeing. That means that you should go to a city and look around, see all the amazing buildings and historic places. And yeah, you should go sightseeing. You should take a tour. We could say you should take a tour of the city. Or you should take a tour. If someone said you can visit islands in Vietnam, well, you should take a boat so that you could visit the many islands. So you should take a boat to visit the many islands in Vietnam. If someone said in Norway, it's very cold in December and January. So maybe I should say to them, well, you shouldn't go in winter to Norway. Okay, the negative, you shouldn't go in winter to Norway because it's very cold. You should take coats with you. Okay, coats. Like you should take, a jacket. You should take coats so you can stay warm. Okay, so before we do the exercise in our book, let's have a look again at the grammar. Remember, we're talking about should. We're saying that something is very important, or we use it when we want to give advice. We want to tell someone what is important to do. So you have the subject, you have should, and then the main verb. That's how you make a sentence. You don't put any words in the middle. I should study. I should see my friend on the weekend. It's very important. I should read more books. To make a negative, you say shouldn't. Okay, I shouldn't smoke. I shouldn't do bad things. I shouldn't waste time. And to make a question, you say should. You always start with the verb, subject. So usually we're saying should I or should we, and then the verb. So now let's practice using should and then the main verb. Okay, we're going to practice using this word should. So I want you to give advice for tourists. Okay, so that means that people want to travel to your country and you want to tell them, you want to give them advice. Tell them what is good or maybe what is not good to do. Maybe you want to tell them, be careful, you shouldn't do this in my country, it's bad. Or, you should do this, you should, it's really important. So here are some examples. So Eloise says, and I'm going to give you a country. So you're not going to write about your country. I'm going to give you another country. So Eloise says Madrid is the capital and largest city of Spain. The climate is dry and hot summers, reaching 30 degrees. So she said it's very hot. So you should wear light clothing. Okay, you should wear summer clothing. And cold winters reach 1 degree. And it may even snow. So you should bring lots of coats. Okay, so 30 degrees, so you should wear light clothing. Okay, in winter, it's cold. In winter, it reaches 1 degree. And it may even snow, so you should bring lots of coats. Okay, you should bring lots of warm clothing. You should take the metro around the city or just walk around by foot. Okay, so she told you it's important. Good advice. You should take the metro or just walk. You should go to the Gastro Festival in February, which is the biggest food festival in the capital. Okay, so if you love food, then you should go to this festival. I'm saying it's really important. It's good advice. It's good. You should stay for more than 2 weeks to be able to see everything. Okay, so you should stay for at least. So I could say you should stay for more than or at least 2 weeks. Paella is the most famous Spanish dish of all, so you should try it. Okay, so you could see that Eloise told us about Spain. She told us what we should be careful to do in summer, in winter, and she gave us good advice, where to go because of the food festival, and what to eat because it's the local dish. So this is another example from Javiera. And Javiera is talking about Florence, which is in Italy. Okay, so she wants to give us advice. And we're going to give advice by practicing saying should. So she says, you should travel to Florence in late spring and early autumn because temperatures are very pleasant and the chance of rain is low. You can visit Pisa. I should say you should. So we want to practice saying should. So she should say, you should visit Pisa with its famous Leaning Tower, San Gimignano with its incredible medieval towers, and Siena, one of the most beautiful cathedrals in the world. You should try the local food picky con ragu, which is a homemade thick spaghetti-like pasta with sauce. Usually wild boar meat is used. You should be able to get around Florence on foot. That means that you should, find it easy to walk around Florence. Everything is relatively close. That means, the markets, the church, the places, everything is close. The language of Florence is Italian. So the language spoken in Florence is Italian. If you want to see the most beautiful places without crowds, then you should get up early. You should visit the Mercato del Porcellino, which is the most touristy of Florence markets. That means that you should go to this market. If you like markets, you should wake up early. That's important. And go there because it's the most famous. Lots of tourists will be there. Okay, so that's some good advice. Now, Lewis is telling us about Medellin, his country. He says, a good place to visit in my country is Medellin. I think it has a good climate and has many famous places. It is easy to get around by the metro cable. Okay, so he's not practicing should, so I'm going to change that. It is easy. You should find it easy to get around by the metro cable. The locals are passionate about food. So you should try the pizza tray, which is very popular. And I'll just go back a bit. A good place to visit in my country, a good place you should visit in my country is Medellin. I think it has a good climate and has many famous places. So you should see a lot. So you should see a lot of beautiful places in great weather. I just added that just to practice the should. Okay, another example is from Edward, and Edward says, when you visit Colombia, you should visit the Chicamoca Canyon, which is located in Santander and is one of the most famous touristic attractions in the country. On the way there, you should stop for a corn apria with cheese and caramelized chorizo. Yum. And you should use a bus to get there or rent a car to get around. You can find many souvenir shops, hotels, and restaurants serving the best of Colombian food. And this is an example from Shirley. So Shirley says, you have to check the local weather when you want to travel to Korea. Okay, so again, we don't want to practice have to because that was in our last lessons. We want to say you should. So you should check the local weather when you want to travel to Korea, as the weather can change depending on the season. When there, you should try the local delicacies such as kimchi Korean barbecue and seafood hot pot. Don't miss out on these street foods, or they're also called local foods. You should easily explore Korea by its convenient transportation system to places and shopping mall. Okay, that's good advice from Shirley. This is Henry. So Henry is talking about Japan. And Henry says, Osaka is the city you should visit. So you could see we use should when we want to tell people that it's very important or we want to give them advice because we know that this is a good idea because this is Japan's second largest city. Okay, so you should visit, Osaka is the city you should visit as it's Japan's second largest city. You should come here in early December when the weather is cold. When you go out, you should bring a jacket. That's good advice. The local food here is very delicious. The main means of transportation here are buses and taxis. You should visit the many shopping centers for tourists. And you should take a tour guide if you don't know Japanese. So that's good. That's really good advice. Okay, Mia writes, Auckland has a mild climate, warm in winter and cool in summer. Any season has its charm. So whether it's spring, summer, autumn, are all suitable for visiting. But you should visit when it is summer, which is the most popular time. You should visit in December to February, which is the peak tourist season. As the ultraviolet rays of the sun are strong here, you should be careful and wear sunscreen. You should surf in the sea, taste the milky ice cream, celebrate the city's birthday with the people of Auckland, watch the annual sailing race, and more importantly, have a colorful grassy Christmas. And in summer, you should wear some light clothes, but add more clothes in the evening. For shopping, you should visit Queen Street, which is a shopping mall in Auckland and a place for luxury brands and department stores such as Prada, Dior, and Louis Vuitton. Okay, so that's really good advice. Juanita says her country, Colombia. So the city, Cali, the weather is hot. It's going to be around 25 to 32 degrees. So you should wear sunscreen. The famous city to see is Cristo Rey. It's a monument about Christ. Okay, she says it's a monument about Christ. It is very high on a mountain, so you should go in a car because it's 30 minutes from the city. The local food is delicious. The most important food is colado, which is a mixture of fruit with different sauces and ice. So maybe here she should say, you should try the local colado. It is so refreshing. You should eat it on a hot day. For getting around, you should take a public bus called Mio, but it is very expensive. But it is very expensive. You shouldn't. So she's going to give you the negative by saying shouldn't. You shouldn't use illegal transportation, such as a motorcycle, because you can be fined. The language is Spanish, but if you don't speak it, you should use a translator. The people are very friendly, so don't worry. If you want to buy a souvenir, then you should go to the central market in the city where you can find cheap things. Enjoy Cali. And that was very beautiful. I like her emojis in her writing. Okay, so now you are going to write Actually about your country. So I want you to tell me, what are important places, famous sites? So if you look at number 12 in your book, page 133, so what are important sites that I should visit? What's important food that I should eat? Where should I go for shopping? Where's the best place, if I want to buy something? So you need to tell me and give me advice. And we want to practice using should. Because remember, when we give advice to someone, when we tell them what is good, we say should. You should do this. You should go here. You should try this food. Okay, so that's giving advice for tourists. I want to hear about advice for your country. So you want to tell me maybe your city, not just your country, maybe just specifically your city. Okay, about what do I need to wear because of the weather? What's some famous places or sites or things that I can do? And the food, definitely the local food. What should I eat? Remember, should is like saying it's very, very important. You have to do it. It's so good. You should do this. Okay, so that's how we use should. And remember, we have the negative, which is shouldn't. And it's the same for all the subject. Okay, so write about your city, your place,